This drill work is brought to you by Ryobi, the finest 18-volt system with their One Plus. I don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I'd like a sponsorship from Ryobi. Greetings and salutations, van lifers. My name is Rob, and on today's video we are going to be installing this MaxxFan Deluxe. Actually, I'm pointing to the box, however I've already opened it. The MaxxFan is obviously right there. Now, my buddy Jeff was going to help me, but he has a doctor's appointment. He got me started in the right direction, but everything from here on out, I'm on my own. Not gonna lie, I'm a little terrified. This is the first modification on my van I have done that is permanent. So this is more than emptying things out of the van or cleaning something out. This is going to be cutting a hole in the roof of my van. I have probably watched a dozen videos on YouTube of how to install this MaxxAir fan. The most useful has been Linnea's. I've watched all of Linnea's videos on how she has installed things in her van. And she definitely has this air about her that says, if I can do it, you can do it. So Linnea, I'm trusting your instructions. I'm hoping that because you were able to do it, I'm also going to be able to do it. For the wall of tools here, we're definitely going to need a drill. We're going to need a jigsaw. I have a metal file over there, and we're going to need this template, which Jeff and I cut out the other day. We were getting started and just ran out of time. But this is a 14 by 14 square piece of cardboard that we're going to be using to trace onto the van and cut a hole to install the MaxxAir fan. Now, unfortunately, right after I picked up that cardboard, I realized that I had trimmed it a little bit off and it was not exactly square. So because I am terrified of screwing this up, I am going to cut another piece of cardboard from scratch. So what I've got here is a level, which I'm making sure that I have marked my lines exactly 14 inches apart. I don't think that using the template that comes with the fan is a good idea. It's not square. It's not exact. It's a little bit too large. It's just not exactly the right size. So what I am doing here is, now that I have a straight line, right on that straight line, measure twice, draw once. And we have our new template. Now, before I begin a project, I'd like to take a sip of a delicious zero-calorie Monster energy drink. I know what you're thinking to yourself. Is he sponsored by Monster? Not yet. Now, before we get too far along, there's one other step we've got to do here, and that is we have to find the center of this piece of cardboard. So what we're going to do, again, I don't take credit for this. I watched a young lady named Linnea install her van, and then I just watched her on the reality television show Gutted. So I figure if she's smart enough to do it twice, I'm going to take her word for it. So what we're going to do here is, by getting the two corners here, we're going to find the center of this piece of cardboard. We've got the middle of our piece of cardboard, which is going to help us mangle our van. Now, one of the reasons we had to stop the other day was because when we pulled out my jigsaw, my friend took one look at the blade and said, that is definitely a wood cutting blade. You need a metal cutting blade. And so I ordered some new blades off of Amazon, and they were the wrong kind. But as I was putting the jigsaw back, I found these old blades. It says copyright 1998. But it does on the side have different blades, and it says right here metal and then wood. And I think what I want is more along these lines, this right here. The Vanlife, the van project, I should say, has, if you want to use a positive term, allowed me, the negative term would be forced me, to upgrade and purchase a lot of new tools. So I wouldn't mind upgrading this to a newer Ryobi wireless jigsaw. I have a lot of battery-powered Ryobi tools, and so if you're out there looking to sponsor a guy working on a van, yeah, I'm your guy. The other thing I purchased were these drill bits. I watched a video where someone used these type of bits to drill out the circles where we're going to be cutting on the van. So I guess there's two ways to do it. One is to use these type of drill bits. The other is to use increasingly large drill bits if you don't have these. But I got these off of Amazon. It was, I believe, $10 for 4 of these bits, 5 bits, and I figured this is probably a lifetime supply of these bits, so I didn't mind making that investment. So we're going to try to use these as well. So next up, let's figure out where we're going to cut this hole on my van. This is my 2007 Ford E250 van, and as we get up here closer, I want to show you something. Now, I have watched a lot of YouTube videos of other types of vans, of people installing these fans. Again, I mentioned Linnea's video, but I've watched a lot of them. And it seems like on a lot of other models of vans, there's a lot larger gap between these support beams. So I have measured between this support beam and the outside edge, and I've got about 18 inches of space to work with. Now, again, I'm only cutting a square that's 14 inches, so I should have enough room. I also did a lot of looking on the internet of where to place your MaxxFan, and there doesn't seem to be one best answer, but the answer isn't towards the back or towards the middle or towards the front. Obviously, if you have 2 fans, then putting one in the front and one in the back makes sense. But the biggest answer that I saw was you want it as close to where you're going to be sleeping. And I plan on putting my bed in the rear of the van sideways, but even if I do it long ways, my head's going to be at the rear of the van. And so based off of that, I want to put my fan as close to the rear as possible. The other thing is I want to leave room for solar. So if I move to this second area here, you can see now I'm going to have to put solar in the back, maybe sideways, solar in the front. I'm going to have to split things up, but I don't really want to do that. I want to have my panels close together. So for my installation, I'm going to put my fan right here in this last section. Again, the square that we've cut out is 14 by 14. This is 18 inches from here to the rear support, so I should have plenty of room to install this fan. This is the furthest back ridge. This is the rear of the van. This is where I want to install my MaxxAir fan. Now, I brought this. What is this, you may ask? It's literally nothing. It is a black project box used for an electronic project. Has nothing to do with this, but I measured it and it is exactly 1 inch wide. And so what I'm going to do, first of all, is I'm going to use this as a spacer right there so that I know exactly how far to put my template. So that is 1 inch away from that. And it is pressed up against that, so I know that it's flat. I know that's a good measurement. In fact, I'm going to put one more piece of tape there just to hold everything together. And now we have a little 1 inch spacer between that and the template. Now, the next thing I need to do with our 1 inch spacer in place is put this, and I got to tell you, what I'm doing is feeling up underneath here where those little ridges are and making a pretty good guess of where center is. So what we're going to do is tape this in spot, and then we're going to check it. I'm not going to lie, I don't always use safety goggles. However, I am drilling into metal. I'm sitting under metal. There's going to be shards of metal. I'm going to be wearing safety goggles. The high today in Oklahoma was supposed to be 106. It is not 106. I think we topped out at 99. However, it's well over 100 in this van. So the minute I put the goggles on, they're going to start steaming up and blocking my vision. So I'm going to do that as the last step possible. Now you might be asking yourself, what drill bits you're going to be using? I'm asking that too. I don't want too large of a hole because then that's going to give me a little bit of slop. I don't want too small of a hole because I'm going through metal and I don't want to break a bit. So this looks like a 3/16 bit. We're going to give it a shot. This drill work is brought to you by Ryobi. Ryobi, the finest 18-volt system with their 1 Plus. I don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I'd like a sponsorship from Ryobi for the $1,000 worth of tools I have hanging in there. Also, Amazon has these goggles. They're about 2 for $10. They're not great. They do have vent holes on the side, which are supposed to keep them from fogging up. They don't work. But you can put them on over glasses. All right. We did it. Step 2, let's go to the roof. Here's a little hint. As I get boxes from the store or Amazon, I save them in my workshop so that when I'm doing a project like this, when I need to go on a roof, I can throw all the things that I need into the box, throw them up on the roof, and that way everything will stay up there, hopefully not fall off, and it'll just be amazing. Hi, it's Rob again. You might recognize me from my other films, such as the guy who was down on the ground earlier. Now I am straddling a ladder and a paint bucket, which I'm standing on. I'm not going to lie, this is not the ideal thing to be standing on while using power tools. However, as you can hear, in this rear area of the van, as I press down on the sheet metal up here, it pops in and out. Now, will it pop in far enough to dent? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm really not in the mood to find out. But I think I can do everything I need to do from standing on this ladder and this bucket. So that's what we're going to attempt to do. Yeah, it's hot. Now, this seems kind of self-explanatory, but what I'm doing now is put the drill bit through there. So even though I brought up those other drill bits, the I don't know what you call them, the expanding size drill bits. Now that I'm up here, I think I'm going to start the holes with this same drill bit that I used before, and then I'll use those to work up to the bigger size circle. If I were 100 pounds lighter or 200 pounds lighter, this would be a lot easier if I were laying on top of this roof, but I just don't trust myself or the roof. And more importantly, I think getting down is going to be a huge pain in the ass. So I'm going to try to do it from this ladder. Wish me luck. That works a little too easy. It also falls out a little too easy. I am glad that I'm wearing the goggles, I'll just say that. We are running out of daylight. Good morning. Welcome to day 2. My first plan for the morning was to remove the top, but as you can see, gravity already did that. The duct tape did not hold overnight, so I guess next we're going to see if the plastic template of the fan fits that hole. I got a feeling I'm going to have to do a little bit of grinding on the edges to get it to fit. We'll see. So as I feared, the hole that I cut is slightly too small for the template for the MaxxAir. Now, this is because I got a little gun shy, and so when I was cutting, I cut inside a little too far the Sharpie line that I drew. So, easily fixable. The good news is that I have an angle grinder, and I will take the angle grinder and I will sand down that edge down to the line, and it'll work perfect. The bad news is that it is about 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and I don't want to do that to my neighbors, so I'm going to wait about an hour and then come back and resume working on that. Well, it took a little work with the angle grinder, but as you can see, I now have the template, and actually, I mean, it is such a tight fit. I could have gone larger on this hole. Like, I had to really kind of put a little bit of force on the plastic to get it to fit all 4 corners. I mean, so it is a tight fit. But I mean, the last part of that sentence fits. It's working. Now, this next step is definitely a case of monkey see, monkey do. This is something that I've seen on all the other videos of people that have installed these, which caused me to purchase 2 things. One is this metal file. I didn't have a metal file. Everybody seems to use that to smooth out the edges. I felt like I could probably do that with a sander or with the angle grinder, but it is leaving such little sharp edges that maybe the file's not a bad idea. The other thing that I purchased was a can of white primer to hit the exposed metal. I do have I'm going to be doing a lot more painting in this van, so I'm not too worried about whether or not the color matches exactly or not, but just to keep that metal from being exposed. Of course, once the fan's installed, the metal shouldn't be exposed at all, but I suppose it doesn't hurt. So. Well, I did not get a recording of myself putting the screws in for a couple of reasons. One, because it is 90-something degrees this morning. As you can see, the sweat on my arm is glistening. I am glowing. There wasn't really, I put down the butyl tape. So there's a layer of butyl tape all the way around the edges here. And then I pre-drilled, I want to say 25, but it's not 25. It is 5 and 5 is 10 and 3 and 3. So 16 holes. And then I put the screws in. I put the fan a little too close to the support beam. I didn't realize that until I was drilling the holes and realized I was just hitting the edge of the support beam. So I stripped a couple of the screws. Fortunately, the screws that hold the piece that goes underneath are the same. So I had to dip into that, and I will just have to find other comparable screws. But as you can see, it's a pretty good fit. So next, I will be putting some laps sealant around all the edges and over all the screw holes, and that will seal this thing up. Then we're going to put a fan on here. So this is the sealant I'm going to be using. This is Laps sealant. It says Lap Sealant Self-Leveling. And let me tell you why I chose this, for two reasons. Number one, because every video I watched on YouTube, everybody else used this exact one. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The other reason that I chose this is because when I purchased the MaxxFan, the MaxxAir fan off of Amazon, it said people who purchased this fan also bought the following two things. That's one of them, and the roll of butyl tape I got was the other. So instead of spending, I don't know how you are, but I can get, especially on Amazon, decision paralysis, where you go through and I need some drill bits, and there are 50 to 100 different brands and styles, and eventually you just got to pick one and go with it. And if it wasn't right, then you've learned the lesson. I mean, I try to do research beforehand, but it's not the end of the world if you send something back, or if you buy a tool and you don't end up using it right at that moment, and then you put it on your tool wall. And as I work on these projects more and more, those things come in handy. So anyway, that is why I brought this. Also, with apologies to MaxxAir, the other thing I'm going to do before mounting this is I'm going to peel off this sticker. I think this company has a great logo, and it looks super cool, but for people that don't know, people that know what this is, this fan, will know. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So here's the reality, is that people that know what these fans are know what they are. So if you're thinking about stealth camping, and I've done a lot of videos about stealth camping, then you're not fooling anybody that sees this and knows what it is. However, if they don't know what it is, you're just giving them something to Google. And so you may go from a situation to where someone who didn't know what you're up to, sleeping in your car, all of a sudden says, gosh, if this fan is used by people who sleep in their cars and their vans, maybe there's somebody in that one. So I will add that to my growing set of stickers. So I wanted to capture the aftermath of the lap sealant. So what happened was I put the lap sealant in here, and I watched a video that said you have to cut the end of the nozzle off, just like a caulking gun, or just any bottle of caulk. And so I did that. However, what I didn't realize is that you also have to puncture a hole in here by sticking a nail or drill bit down in here. And so instead I just squeezed it until lap's sealant shot out the side, like I actually burst the canister here. And so it did work. I was able to seal all around the van, and I'll show you. I'm going to do a little bit more, but I sealed around all the screw holes where they're falling down, but you can see, like, right at the very top, the sealant settled down just a little bit, and so it's not at the very top of the holes. And so I'm going to reapply just a little bit right on those edges underneath. Of course, they're all covered on the top as well. In fact, as I climb up my little step ladder here and try not to crash into the ground, you can see that the tops of the screws are all covered, and everything is sealing here as well. So The bottoms of the screws is probably overkill, but I just wanted to cover any possible spot where water might be able to come through. So the sealant filled all the cracks, covered the screw holes, filled the screw holes underneath, and also shot out the side of the thing. So I might have to replace that caulking gun after this incident, but the sealant works. So we have the butyl tape, of course, underneath the edges of this. We have the plastic mounting kit in place. We have screws all the way around, and then we have lap sealant around the edges and over the tops of all the screws. Next, it's time to mount the fan on top of this hole. And one thing I know from watching everyone else's videos is that the MaxxAir fan needs to be open before you install it. Of course, it is upside down here, so you can open it. You hear it turning the motor right here. That is closing it. This is opening it, and you can see, maybe you can't see, you can see the fan beginning to open. I do remember from Linnea's video, her install video, that she did not get the wiring to go down through the hole. It was tucked up in here, and so she had to do some wiggling to get the wires through. So I will not make that mistake, as she states in her video. However, I don't think when she applied her sealant that she had a complete blowout and shot it out the side of the tube. So, so far we're tied 1-to-1. Now these screw holes right here and here on each side of the fan are going to line up with screw holes that are on the side of the mount that are up there on top of the van. So we're going to get that up there. Also, notice I've removed the sticker from this side of the fan as well. Sorry, MaxxAir. So finally, now for a quick test, the wires are coming out here, and I have this set of wires that I actually ran. They were an extra pair of wires when we were hooking up my rear view camera for the stereo. It ties into this harness that actually runs all the way down here through the harness and everything. But the important part is that it does run woo, all the way down there, all the way down here, all the way here, and is giving me 12 volts. Right now with accessory on. I will hook this directly to a battery. But with this wired up, let's press in, out, and see what we get. We get nothing. Let's press on, off. And final test is I got the batteries in the remote. It says set temperature 76, room temperature 95. Fan is on, fan is open, and air is coming in at speed 50%. So let's try to get more speed out of this. 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%. Well, there's only so much you're going to do on a hot summer day here in Oklahoma, but there she blows. Still 96. Oh. Hey, that brings us to the end of the video. Please click subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more videos about my van and projects that I'm working on. I came up with a final list of all the tools that I used during this installation. Of course, I purchased the MaxxAir MaxxFan Deluxe. That is the 7000K model. The difference between the 7000 and the 7500 is simply color. The 7000 is white, the 7500 is black. So I bought a white one to go with my van. I used a piece of cardboard, I used a straight edge, a tape measure, and a Sharpie to cut out the square template and to trace the outside of that template onto the top of the van. Of course, I had a ladder, I used a drill bits, those step bits that I purchased off of Amazon. I used a jigsaw with metal cutting blades. I used an angle grinder, which you could probably get away without if you cut the hole exactly to the right size. I did not, so I had to use a grinder to make the hole a little bit larger. I used a metal file to smooth the edges of the hole after I cut it. I used a can of primer white spray paint. I used very, very little of that, so if you already have some primer, I'm sure you can get away with what you have. I used some butyl tape, I used lap sealant, and at the very end I used some electrical tools to wire it up to the van. So that's everything I needed to install the van. Again, I appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, click subscribe, click like, click whatever you want to click on, and I'll see you here on the next video.